Namaskar and hello to everyone. I am Sujoy Majumdar, Curator Science City, Kolkata. Warmly welcome you all in today's online lecture session on Science versus ET, that is, Science versus Engineering and Technology. The lecture will be delivered by Professor Shumanta Nyogi. He is the head of Mechanical Engineering, Jadavpur University. He did his BE from Jadavpur University and then he went to IIT Kharagpur to complete his MTech. He did his PhD from IIT Madras. Apart from his bright academic career, he wrote many papers and had many publications in his name. Sir, on behalf of Science City Kolkata, I welcome you in this session. You are all aware that due to COVID-19 pandemic, most of us and our visitors at present staying home. But Science City is trying its best to stay connected with its visitor through different online activities. Today's online lecture is one of them. Before handing over the stage to Professor Nyogi, let me tell a few words regarding the National Technology Day celebration. The day is being observed across India on May 11th every year to mark India's technological achievements and to promote the development of technology in various fields. The day is being commemorated to celebrate the anniversary of first of the 5 nuclear tests called as Operation Shakti or Pokhran 2, which was held from 11 to 13 May 1998 in Pokhran in the state of Rajasthan. After 11th May, 2 days later, India successfully test fired 2 nuclear weapons as a part of Operation Shakti. The operation was led by former President APJ Abdul Kalam, was the then director of DRDO. In greater sense, we can say the National Technology Day highlights the importance of science in daily life and encourages youngsters to embrace it as a career option. With this word, now I would like to hand over the stage to Professor Shumanta Nyogi with a request to deliver his lecture. Please, sir.
I would like to thank Mr. Sujoy Majumdar, Curator Science City, and all concerned officials of the Science City for giving me such a grand opportunity to make a short presentation in this context. Well, as you had just now heard from the curator himself, that the National Technology Day is celebrated on 11th May, and he has let you know that this was the day when the nuclear weapon was successfully fired in Pokhran, and that means India was converted into a nuclear powered nation. That was a big leap in science and technology, and not only in science and technology, the importance of the country in the global scenario. Well, as he has also mentioned, that this day is followed and celebrated every year by giving science awareness campaigns throughout the nation and the importance and contributions of science in daily life. Well, with this context, what we can say is the name National Technology Day is important. Well, along with technology comes a synonymous term, engineering, and there is another day called National Engineers Day. That is not 11th May, but it is 15th of September. And that has nothing to do with the nuclear weapon. It has another history by itself. It is the birthday of Bharat Ratna, first civil engineer Moksha Gundam Visvesvaraya. So now we have two concepts analogous to each other, engineering and technology. Now the topic of the present discussion is science versus engineering and technology. why have we chosen or taken up such a topic? Well, as I come to know, the principal listeners of these topics are school students, especially plus two. So they are mature to that extent that after the plus two, they would take up career which will be their bread and butter for the rest of their life. Now, see, we know from our experience that a lot of them go to medicine and another lot goes to engineering. But it is really painful to see that when students of plus two train themselves for the engineering entrance examination, you just ask them what is engineering and technology, they are completely in dark. It is not their fault, but it is the fault of the education system keeps them in dark, because a student of 11 or 12 loaded with so much of syllabus cannot simply afford to know or even aim to know what engineering and technology is. But what an irony of fate, they will soon probably join engineering colleges for the rest of their life. So it was rather a choice that we took up to take up an issue where we can probably acquaint them a little about what is engineering and technology and what relation has it got with their science curriculum, which is sufficiently advanced in the plus two level. Well, then let us not go into definitions, but only in the crux of the business. Well, if you go into science, it has a peculiar characteristic. Here, the scientist is interested in knowledge for knowledge's sake, whereas the engineering and technologies has a completely different approach. He uses science for achieving definite goals or ambitions. These goals may be good, may be bad. That is a second issue. But there is a definite goal, and that cannot be. So this is the difference between science on one side and engineering and technology on the other. But let us now clarify this or amplify this point by giving a simple example. See, the first person who was taking up data regarding celestial motion was Tycho Brahe. From the readings or data of Tycho Brahe, Kepler formulated his three laws. That was the first, the law where we could explain planetary motion. But that was the start of the big leap. What was the big leap? Sir Isaac Newton formulated Newton's law, the pillars of Newtonian mechanics, from these Kepler's law. Now, similarly, let us go into laws which govern fluid motion. They are either Euler's equation or the Navier-Stokes equation, or in energy form, the Bernoulli's equation. Similarly, we have got laws of thermodynamics. Now, understand, neither Newton, nor Bernoulli, nor Euler, nor Navier had any understanding of engineering, nor did they do this work for the sake of anything but explaining nature itself. So the principal cause was knowledge for knowledge's sake, and the knowledge is explaining what is going on in nature around, and that is the principal purpose or objective of science. Now let us go into a corresponding analogous engineering or technological situation. Well, we all know that in today's civilized world, we use automobiles, we use railways, we use ocean liners or ships, we use aircrafts, and even we have also used spacecrafts, and on the bad effect, missiles. See, all of these things are designed using the principles of thermodynamics, principles of solid mechanics, and principles of fluid mechanics, which has been formulated by physicists. Do we now come to a solid example where we can say that scientists have studied knowledge for knowledge's sake, whereas engineers and technologists, they follow science for the purpose of meeting definite goals. This is the difference. Now the second point, which is a minor, not to be much discussed here. We have uttered two terms. One is engineering and other technology. If you go into Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary, you will see the definitions or meanings given are analogous. But then it is for my curious readers as a food for thought. See, why is an old engineering college in West Bengal named Bengal Engineering College, and why is the group of advanced institutes in India called Indian Institute of Technology? Why not call Bengal Technical College or Technological College and the other as Indian Institute of Engineering? There is a difference. But let us not go into this fineness in such a short representation, because we will not be able to get enough time for the purpose. However, the next point would be to give you some idea about the nature or characteristic of engineering and technology. And if we want to get into it, we need to know its history. Just by brief presentation of its history, we will be in a condition to appreciate the characteristic of engineering and technology. See, engineering or technology in the age-old days, even 100 years back, was largely broken up into three important mother disciplines. One is civil, the second electrical, and third is mechanical engineering. Civil engineering existed much before industrial revolution. And if you look into the old structures of India, like the structures at Ajanta and Ellora, the Taj Mahal, the Jagannath temple at Puri, or just look into the pyramids of Egypt, all of them are mammoth civil engineering structures. Whether they knew the laws of civil engineering or the laws of mechanics, we need not know. Even mechanics was not invented during those days, but they by some means knew how to design such massive structures. Were they not civil engineers? Can we refute their ability? Can we refute their contributions? Now, the other part of it, electrical and mechanical. In electrical and mechanical engineering, mostly the development occurred in about the industrial revolution. What are the important gadgets or equipments in electrical engineering? They are transformers, DC motors, DC generators, AC motors, and AC generators. See, if we look into the basic law which govern their operation, it is the Faraday's law. Well, the laws of electromagnetic induction and the laws which govern magnetic effect of electric current, nothing else. They have been formulated by physicists, and Faraday is one of the very important physicists in this area of study. Now, if we go into the history of DC motor, we will see two important engineers, Sturgeon and Davenport. They had big contributions in development of DC motor because they had used the modern commutator. If you go into DC generators, it was Edison who was the first to operate them. If you go into AC motors, the man to do it was Bradley, and for AC generators it is Pixie. But if you go into the history of AC machines, either motors or generators, you will see Tesla was a very important man, and probably by now you know Tesla and Edison were big enemies. Well, doesn't matter, but we have a series of names from Sturgeon to Tesla. Were they physicists? No, they were engineers. They were the persons who developed these electrical machines. So can we now say physicists are distinctively different for electrical engineers? And I think the matter should be confused after this short example. Now let us go into the arena of mechanical engineering. In mechanical engineering, what do we see is we have largely two areas. One is fluid and solid handling machine, and other is manufacturing science. Among these, see, in manufacturing science, the first manufacturing machine tool was given by a gentleman called Maudslay, and he was the inventor of lathe or engine lathe. He was an important man. Now, on the other hand, we have fluid and solid handling machines. In fluid and solid handling machines, we have got steam engines, we have got IC engines, steam turbines, gas turbines, pumps, and hydraulic turbines. If we go into the history, we will see In the history, the steam engine was invented by James Watt. The IC engine, petrol or diesel, was invented by Otto or Diesel. Now, steam turbine was developed by De Laval and Parsons. In fact, today's power plants uses Parsons turbine, a reaction turbine. Gas turbine was invented by Barber. See, we can go on like this to pumps and hydraulic turbines. And hydraulic turbine was in or largely developed by Kaplan, Francis, and Pelton. So we have a series of names. All of these were done by civil engineer, by mechanical engineers. On the other hand, the basic science which governs them is done according to the laws of solid mechanics, fluid mechanics, and thermodynamics. Again, are we in a position to convince you that physicist is one, mechanical engineer is other? So we have a very clear demarcation. Now, what do we conclude from this? Unfortunately, history is ignored in the study of engineering and technology. That is extremely important in today's world. Why is it important? Once we know the history of engineering technology in brief, and we know the history of science as well, we will be in a condition to appreciate that they are two distinctly different fields. Another way of appreciation is students should be made aware that there are many organizations will help them. For example, in city, we have a science and technology heritage park. In Birla Museum, we have got a motive power gallery. In Science City, we have got a science park, a fun science gallery, and science on sphere. If these students bothered to spend some of their time in these places, they would be able to see the outputs of modern science, engineering and technology, and at the same time, they will know how these equipments have evolved from their partners. This is important. Now, once these students are able to understand the difference, never will they confuse science with engineering and technology. This is cardinal. Second, the approach in teaching and learning of science and engineering technology, on the other hand, are inverse of one another. Science goes from theory to application or answer. And until and unless the theory is perfected, a scientist will never try to apply it to an applied situation. Whereas in engineering and technology, it's the reverse. The application comes first, and based on the application, we develop rigorous theories. So when James Watt designed steam engine, he had little idea of the laws of thermodynamics, or probably the laws of thermodynamics was not even proposed at that time. The gentleman who proposed IC engine, Otto or Diesel, probably had little idea of the laws of thermodynamics, but that does not matter. What was important for him was to develop a device. And now from the development of the device, when he comes back or makes a back calculation, people start finding the relation between thermodynamics, fluid mechanics, solid mechanics, and mechanical engineering, or the connection between electrical machines and the theory in electricity or electromagnetic induction. So are in a position to appreciate that approach is just reverse of one another. This is extremely important. And once the student at this age clearly understands the difference, never will he confuse that the two branches are distinct. Why are we trying to give so much of importance to this? The answer is probably with a bit of a negative remark. We would say in India especially, engineering and technology and science are confusing with each other, and the result in engineering and technological colleges of very advanced origin or higher standards, we see that in the name of engineering and technology, a huge portion of science is taught. There is nothing wrong in teaching huge portion of science, because that is natural. Why is it natural? Because as and when we see development occurs in engineering and technology and science, the gap reduces. And since the gap reduces, often on and quite legitimately in engineering and technology syllabus, will we see the importance of science and physics in it. But the objectionable issue here is in teaching engineering and technology, we are forgetting engineering and technology by itself, and we are giving just importance to science. A simple example can we say, when we graduated in year 1986, a respected teacher of mine, Professor Sudhir Das, was a production engineering professor. He is no more, but really I pay a great amount of respect to him. Why, you know? See, at that time, we know from definite documents that when Jadavpur University was in real need of money, he used to manufacture machine tools like lathe and milling machines and sell it to industries. And not only that, you will be completely astonished to know that these machine tools were exported to University of Maryland, and that gave Jadavpur University a big leap. See, being even the head of the department of an institute, I can very well say, after so many years, we should have then manufactured CNC based lathe, but unfortunately we have not done it. The reason is we have ourselves forgotten that engineering and technology is not distinct from science. At this age, or probably near the end of our career, I want to caution my young students in +2, never confuse them. Then only you will end up in trouble. And if you can at this age know the difference between engineering and technology for science in your next part of your career, never will you be confused. When teacher comes to teach you, you can definitely put legitimate questions to get your points clarified. That is the principal reason why we are discussing the matter here. Before the last point, we can give you a little bit of the importance of technology in a scenario like this. See, unfortunately, we are all locked up. We are afraid of what? COVID-19. So it is like a ghost that COVID-19 is after us. Why are we afraid? Why are we afraid of this disease? The reason is it creates respiratory problem in human beings. But whereas in other animals, they create problem in the digestive system. So animals are not bothered. Well, due to a problem in the digestive system, no one dies. But if you even have a respiratory arrest for a very short time, we are going to be finished. Now, what is the device which stops doing it? It is popularly called a ventilator or a respirator. When was this ventilator invented? It was invented in about 1920s when plague came into scenario. And that time ventilator was called as iron lung. After that, it has developed a lot. And today, in the primitive side, we have got airbags with valves to act as primitive or easy ventilators. On the other hand, we have ventilators which are mechatronic products. What are mechatronic products? Based on mechanical engineering and electrical engineering mix up. And today's ventilator is nothing but a microprocessor control device which is sufficiently expensive. Now think of engineering and technology. A simple story can be told. See, why is this program now possible even in lockout? We have in front of us tab and laptops. See, when we are students in 80s, see the power that a laptop has today, even a fraction of it was not available in mini systems took of the size of a table in 1980s. And when our teachers, respected teachers, first introduced computer-aided engineering, probably another 15 to 20 years back, probably we would have required the console size of a building to serve it. So what have we seen? With technological progress, that big size console has now come into a small tab or a laptop. So that is the rate or the purpose behind industrial and technological engineering development. It has been commonly told that had the automobile industry developed at this rate, then today we would have a car at the price of a bicycle. See, what has it to do with science? It has a business of its own. Now just think, if we had put up that much of effort in the manufacture and ventilators, Probably like paracetamols, we would have gone to a local medicine shop and we have told them, give me a ventilator. It would have costed about 1,000. And where was lockout then? It was not required. Oh, you have got COVID-19, who cares? I have got a ventilator for 2,000 at home. Immediately I have a respiratory problem, I will take in the ventilator and put in. Finished. That is what engineering and technology does. So we have given a big clap to engineering and technology and an equal clap to science. But by clapping too much, we should not forget nature. Never play with nature. Off and on, become too ambitious. We become too mindless. We try to play with nature. See, today, by sitting in a jet aircraft, we can move over the top of Mount Everest and still say, oh, I am seeing the beauty of Mount Everest in an air-conditioned plane. But please remember, this jet aircraft, if used beyond limit, will create holes in the ozone layer, and you know what the consequence can be. This is undoubtedly a case where mindlessly we are using engineering and technology. And please remember, nature is too harsh. If you play with it beyond limit, it is going to retaliate. Now, the next part of human character. We have animosity within us. By education, we should remove it, but unfortunately, we have not. Animosity creates enmity, and by doing so, a nation becomes an enemy of a nation, though all are human beings. We forget it. So we create nuclear weapons, we create biological weapons, and we try to destroy human beings. If we are not sufficiently educated, not sufficiently cultured, and not sufficiently mindful in using engineering and technology and the corresponding science, we are going to create a situation in which we are going to annihilate human civilization by itself. And then should we end up by remembering the poet philosopher Rabindranath Tagore, who says, "Tao phire se aranyo, law he nagor." What does it mean? It means, well, let us go back to the days of the jungles or the forest. Let us live out this human civilization with equipments of science and technology packed in cities. Let us forget it. Now, then the conclusion, yes, we need to study science. We need to study engineering and technology. We need to know the difference. But above all, we should be cautious not to play with nature beyond a limit, and the caution thereafter. With this, we would like to end our short representation for our young star friends. Well, many of them may like it, many of them may differ. Even mature persons who maybe listen to this may differ. Well, then I would like to only apologize by saying all the comments that are given are undoubtedly personal, and if in the process I have hurt anyone, I would be sorry. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of Science City Kolkata, we once again convey our gratitude to Professor Sumanto Niyogi for giving us his valuable time. We also thankful our director, Sri Shurabroto Chaudhary, for the motivation, and thankful to our art and editing team for their timely response and working from remote with all kind of awards. Thank you to all and namaskar. Stay home, stay fit and stay healthy.